Hey everyone! You ever just feel like the world is spinning a little too fast? Like you're being tossed around by these waves of bad news and just uncertainty? Well, today, we're going to explore a really powerful idea for finding your footing, an unshakable anchor that you can find in some truly timeless wisdom.
I mean, it's a feeling so many of us share, right? The constant news cycle, all the turmoil, our own personal struggles. It can really feel like you're in a tiny little boat on a very, very stormy sea. And that exact feeling is what we're going to talk about today, using some ancient texts that are, believe it or not, surprisingly relevant.
And the solution we're going to be looking at, it isn't some new self-help trend. Nope, it's an ancient one. We're going to see how these readings guide us to shift our focus away from all the things in our lives that are temporary and fragile to something that's described as divine and totally everlasting. All right, let's dive right in. Our first stop is this really dramatic vision from the prophet Daniel. And what it does is it paints this incredible picture of two competing kingdoms, two totally opposing realities. And it really sets the stage for everything else we're going to discuss. Okay, so get this. An ancient king named Nebuchadnezzar has this unbelievably vivid dream. He sees this massive, intimidating statue. And from a distance, it looks super powerful, made of gold, silver, bronze. But when you get a closer look, you see its feet are made of this fragile mix of iron and clay. The whole point here is that earthly power, no matter how impressive it seems on the surface, is fundamentally unstable. It's destined to crumble. And this really gets to the heart of the whole vision. On one side, you've got the statue. It's a symbol of all our human ambition. It's impressive, for sure, but ultimately, it's fragile and temporary. But then you have this mysterious stone. It's not built by anyone. It's just solid, whole, eternal. It represents a completely different kind of power, one that doesn't come from us at all. And here's where the dream takes this wild, dramatic turn. This little stone, which seems to come from nowhere, from a supernatural source, it doesn't just chip the statue, it completely obliterates it, smashes it to dust. And then it grows into this massive mountain that fills the entire world. I mean, what a powerful metaphor for the ultimate triumph of the divine over all those temporary worldly powers. Okay, so we've got this incredible vision of earthly kingdoms crumbling. The natural question is, how are we supposed to live in a world like that? Well, for that, we turn to a passage from the Gospel of Luke, where Jesus gives some incredibly direct and practical advice for navigating the exact kind of turmoil that the statue's collapse represents. So, think of this as your spiritual toolkit for turbulent times. First up, don't be deceived. Don't fall for people offering quick fixes or easy answers. Second, do not be terrified. Don't panic when you see chaos erupting. It's an expected part of the landscape. And third, and this is probably the most crucial part, just remain faithful. Your perseverance, your quiet endurance, that is the real victory. So let's start connecting the dots here. We've seen a vision of a collapsing, temporary world, and we've been given a really clear set of instructions on how to navigate it. It all boils down to a conscious choice about where we place our anchor, where we put our ultimate trust. And here's where it all comes together beautifully. That stone hewn without hands from Daniel's prophecy, it's interpreted as Jesus Christ himself. He's the cornerstone of a spiritual kingdom, one that isn't about politics or military might, but one that is eternal and truly, absolutely unshakable. Okay, this is where these huge ideas become super practical. Because let's be honest, it's one thing to know about an unshakable kingdom, but how do we actually live like we're part of it, day to day? Well, our source offers a clear three-step action plan for finding real, lasting peace. And just look at how simple and powerful this is. First, detachment. Now, this isn't about not caring about anything. It's about consciously loosening our anxious grip on worldly things we can't control anyway. Second, trust. This is about actively shifting our confidence from our own plans and our own strength to a higher power. And third, praise. This just means making gratitude a regular habit, which, let me tell you, has the power to totally change your perspective on everything. Let's just zoom in on that middle one for a second. Trust. It's not some complicated feeling you have to work up. The source here defines it as a simple, conscious act of surrender. So when anxiety hits, when you feel totally tossed about by the news, the suggestion is to simply repeat a phrase like, "Jesus, I trust in you." It's an immediate, actionable way to re-anchor yourself right in that moment. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question. This is a challenge for each one of us to look inward. What are you still clinging to? Is it your career, your financial security, A particular relationship? Maybe your reputation? What fragile part of that giant statue are you still relying on for your sense of peace and security? Because ultimately, this is the choice that this ancient wisdom leaves us with. Are we building our lives on the shifting sands of temporary, earthly things that are just going to wash away, or are we choosing to build on the solid, unshakable foundation of the eternal? The choice, as always, is ours.